我哋今日咧就會有Danny 啦、Anselman 啦，就會講一講關於今次呢個 initiative。咁之後咧，我哋就會做一個Q&A 咁樣嘅形式去問翻。
好，Hello 大家記者朋友好。我係 Danny 啦，即係 Prenetics 嘅 CEO co-founder 啦。所以大家Alan 之文大家都要識啦，唔需要介紹啊嚇。So Jonathan 之文同埋我哋嘅公司 advisor Nicholas Ho 嘅話想所以或者我簡單介紹下今次嘅活動啦。所以好多謝大家啦，即係過嚟呢個活動。就大家都知道依家香港面對緊呢個第3個 wave of COVID-19嘅，所以大家都知道即係 basically 上個禮拜即係政府同食環嗰方面都 announce 咗一個 initiative 咧，係會開始即係 basically 免費派啲核酸測試COVID-19嘅 test 俾所有嘅香港16000個餐飲嘅。所以我哋都好，即係 Prenetics 嗰方面，佢哋 select 咗 Prenetics 一間公司provide 緊一個 one-stop solution 俾啲16000間餐廳同埋20萬嘅，大概我哋預計有20萬嘅restaurant staff 喺全港會做呢個測試啦。所以我哋上個禮拜6已經開始呢個動作嘅。所以我哋已經 trial 咗大概一個禮拜左右，所以暫時嚟講咧，個 feedback 都係非常 positive 嘅，即係啲 restaurant 嗰啲同事都覺得呢樣嘢 from 政府嗰方面係非常好嘅，因為可以保障到佢哋同埋佢嘅家庭嘅。at the same time 都保障埋啲喺餐廳食飯食 lunch 嗰啲客嘅。所以就我哋都會預計呢個 program 咧係依家嚟講係會 run until 我哋都會 as soon as possible 會 complete 呢個initiative 同呢個 program 嘅，所以都有一段時間，因為始終香港嚟講都係好大啦，所以同埋好多人嘅，所以但呢個 initial stage 咧都係可以講係非常成功嘅，個 feedback 都係非常成功嘅。Alan, you want to?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here with Danny and Nick and Jonathan from Prenetics. I think that this is a very, very good initiative on behalf of the government, the Hong Kong government, who is paying for this, especially for all of the staff, the restaurant staff, catering staff in Hong Kong. And that's something that's very, very important because we know COVID, the coronavirus, it transports very, very quickly. And one person can infect 4 people. And for staff, it's very, very important that the staff gets tested, that they're safe. So when people come to eat in Lang Kwai Fong or eat in any restaurant, it's important that they can feel comfortable. Remember, we have to separate 1.5 meters, only 4 people to a table, follow all the rules. Hong Kong, we have to get the numbers down because the numbers are too high right now, and for everybody's sake, we want to protect our families, protect everyone. Prenetics has done a very, very good job. I'm very proud of them by really having the biggest laboratory in Hong Kong and being able to have these tests for people. Everyone in Hong Kong will eventually be able to be tested, and that's the only way we can get the numbers down. That's something that I'm proud it's Hong Kong made, Hong Kong born, and that's something that's will eliminate all the bad things that we're now facing. Let's get back to a happy life.
Jonathan, anything you want to add?
I'd just like to add that restaurant workers, they're on the front line, right? They're taking care of customers throughout Hong Kong. There's a few 100,000 restaurant workers working in the 16,000 to 18,000 restaurants and bars in Hong Kong. So it's very important that those catering restaurant workers, they feel safe, that their families feel safe, and then also that customers are safe as well, so that we can keep things moving. If we have to go into a Singapore-style lockdown, that's not good for anyone in Hong Kong. So it's very important that as citizens in Hong Kong, everyone does their part to participate in social distancing, make sure that we're always thinking, of course, mask wearing. In restaurants, we also make sure that we have hand sanitizers stations on every waiter station at the entrances, and we're taking extra precautions, checking temperatures of people when they come in, health declaration forms, etc. Of course, testing on a wide scale is really the only way forward in order to have some kind of a normal life and a normal economy. Vaccination, who knows when a vaccine will come? Maybe at the end of the year, maybe next year, maybe years later. We really don't know. So in the meantime, in order to move forward, in order to be able to interact with people, in order to have people continue to come to Hong Kong for business travel, for tourism, etc., we need to have this widespread testing scheme. So we're very happy to be working with Prenetics, Lan Kwai Fong Association, and Lan Kwai Fong Group to make sure that we can be on the front line of keeping people in Hong Kong safe.
Nick 可以補充，佢啲講嘅話好過我好多啊。
其實檢測其實大家頭先都講咗，即係除咗食肆嘅員工佢哋嘅家人得到保障之外，其實食客亦都有一個信心。咁樣做大規模嘅測試係唯一對經濟最少打擊、最少影響嘅情況底下，我哋仲可以正常生活。咁所以大規模嘅測試其實頭先大家都講咗，係未來一個大方向，喺未有疫苗之前。咁除咗係堂食之外，其實外賣亦都好緊要，因為所有食客都好喺屋企，佢哋都會好緊張，究竟煮佢哋啲嘢食嘅員工或者廚師佢哋有冇做過檢測？咁所以你見到喺呢一度都有個貼紙，同埋第時上網做完測試嘅餐廳食肆都會係政府有一個認證檢測認證，亦即係俾廣大市民有翻一個信心，邊啲餐廳幾時做咗測試一個認證。
好多謝。或者我哋依家開始個 Q&A。好，唔該晒。所以我哋暫時咧within一個禮拜，我哋已經 distribute 到大概差唔多2萬嘅樽嘅，即係俾啲餐飲嘅方面。所以我哋上個禮拜即係第一個區咧，佢係 basically 去黃大仙啊、慈雲山啊，basically嗰啲高危啲嗰啲地方嘅。所以依家暫時所以之後嗰啲問題可能再講一次啊。sorry。我哋派咗2萬嘅。我哋因為有啲我哋仲收緊翻啲樽嘅，所以我哋 actually 測完咧大概都應該有最少有8-9千嘅，話曬。我哋個 lab capacity 嚟講咧，我哋每一日可以測到大概5000嘅，但我哋依家都增加緊嘅，所以我哋不停係請緊多啲人喺我哋嘅 lab 度嘅，所以我哋會預計8月頭嗰陣時啦，我哋都可以增加到一日可以測到超過2萬個人嘅，即係我哋嘅 Prenetics 個 lab 嗰方面。放8月份嗰陣時啦，我係水，但當然我哋都要睇翻個要求啊，同埋即係睇翻個 capacity。所以因為我哋依家個團隊都係要瞓覺嘅，所以我哋依家 actually 7日 on call， 即係我哋依家係做緊7日嘅 Monday to Sunday嘅，即係冇休息嘅，暫時嚟講。因為始終我哋自己嘅 team 都好 proud of 呢件事啦。因為始終我哋覺得係可以幫得到個 community， 幫得到香港，幫得到 F&B 成個即係呢個 sector 嘅。就我哋而家大概會分2日時間嘅，會分1至2日時間，即係睇翻當然嗰日有幾多個 samples 翻嚟啦。 好啊，so in terms of 個幾錢嗰方面啦，講咗唔係咁適合講啦，或者但可以講翻 in terms of let's 個 data privacy 嗰方面咧，所以我哋會收到呢啲樽嘅，係咪？所以 after 7日時間咧，我哋係會 dispose of 嗰個 sample 嘅，或者同埋我哋係 actually 攞最 minimum 嗰個 data 嗰方面 from 嗰個人嘅，所以我哋淨係問佢攞個名啦。個身份證個最先個4個號碼啦，或者電話啦，當然我哋要 contact 翻個人，所以呢個係最 minimum 嘅 requirement 啦，所以我哋唔會 share 俾任何人嘅，或者淨係當然如果係當然如果係 positive case，我哋會 contact CHP 嘅，同埋聯絡翻我個 patient 同埋個餐飲個老闆咯。
想問下先做嘅，你哋係會測咗之後會睇嗰個 sticker 嚟之後去測咗啊？想問下呢個 sticker 係 last 幾耐嘅？即係幾耐之後要再重新測過先再會有個 sticker。跟住第二個就係依家測到即係1個禮拜啦，有冇測試結果係即係positive 嘅？咁大概有幾多？大概係幾多？
咩啊？嗱，我哋呢個係咧，暫時嚟講，呢個係一個 one-off 嘅 program。所以呢個係一次嘅啫，就 in terms of 因為始終呢個一個政府涉辦嘅 sponsor 嘅 program 嘅，所以當然如果有啲餐廳佢哋話想繼續做咧，咁或者我哋之後嗰度可以 arrange 啲 specific 嘅 program 嗰方面嘅。
咁個 sticker 可以 last 幾耐？有冇話例如話2個禮拜你一定要攞落嚟，因為2個禮拜之後又係一個新嘅 size。
暫時冇一個 validity 我個 sticker 嗰方面嘅。
但係個 sticker 上面會有嗰個檢測日期。
就另外一個問題係有冇依家測到係有啲食肆係 positive 嘅？咁大概係
暫時未有。因為我諗好嘅，因為我哋測試咧呢啲都係 asymptomatic 嗰啲 patients 嘅，所以但呢個都係好重要嘅，因為我哋希望都可以揾得到啲 silent carriers，所以但當然個 positive rate 會低好多㗎啦。
Hi, I'm from Pro. So I have 2 questions. The first is what's the procedure if restaurants want to get registered to get the free test? How should staff or their employers do? And then the other one is how would you prevent mistakes? Because government has made mistakes when they're ramping up the test and then mixed the identities of the people. And then how do you prevent mistakes and then mixing people's testing results when doing such a large-scale testing? Thank you.
So restaurant staff and restaurant owners, they can actually register on the Food Environmental Hygiene Department's website, and they could actually enter their license number, as well as the number of restaurant staff, their contact information, and then we will certainly then deliver the kits to that restaurant. In terms of other question, in terms of how will we ensure safety protocols, etc. for lab aspect, all of our processes are digital. So certainly when you look at our kits wise, we have barcodes, right? So barcodes wise, individuals do not need to digitally sign anything. We also have a consent form here, but we have barcodes. So when it goes into our laboratory, everything is digitalized and barcoded. So we cut out all of the manual work related in the laboratory aspect. So certainly we want to this is a way to safeguard individuals' results.
So that means the lab will only scan the barcode. They don't need to enter.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Yeah. 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 啱啦，所以當然呢個係其中一個 potential issue 啦，但係 I think 個 practicality，I mean 即係如果大家諗緊 testing 嗰方面咧，個 practical 就係每一日唔可以 test 嘅，啱呢個 just not practical，但係始終我哋大家可以 minimize 個 risk 嘅啫，所以 I think 全球都係 face 緊呢個問題就係 how do we minimize the risk？ 所以呢個係一個 one step process 嘅。但呢個已經呢個 initiative by itself 係已經非常好噶嘛，所以 I think 但呢個都可以保障大家咯，
係一個鼓勵性作用啦，即係鼓勵更加多嘅食肆去進行呢個測試，同埋食客如果對於呢個認證係有信心嘅話，咁啲食肆亦都會有咁嘅壓力要去繼續做測試。
Also, I think that once someone is infected, they're not infectious. They can't communicate it until a little bit of time afterwards, a few days after. So it does buy you some time. If any staff feels unwell, then they can immediately do a test as well.
個反應嚟講，即係 base 我哋上個禮拜，即係我哋去慈雲山啊、黃大仙啊，即係大部分啲我哋即係我同咧係分享每一間餐廳都係去嘅喎，即係我哋自己即係 full 全日去嘅，所以我哋見得到啲反應，即係佢哋好多謝我哋啦，即係好 grateful 啦，即係 basically 呢個政府呢個同埋食環呢個 initiative 嘅，因為佢哋自己都擔心噶嘛，特別嗰啲高危嗰啲 area， 所以使乜有人過嚟派樽同埋過嚟收翻個樽，所以個個都好 appreciative 嘅，所以呢樣嘢係間餐廳都係接受嘅，同埋好開心啦。So in terms of 幾時做完呢個 process， 我哋暫時依家都同政府傾緊呢樣嘢嘅，所以暫時我哋冇一個set 嘅 date 啦，但我哋會盡快嘅。
請問你知唔知依家為止有幾多餐廳登記？跟住如果係話淨係登記就可以攞到呢個 test kit 嘅話，會唔會你哋即係負擔唔到之後太多餐廳去登記？
呢個咧，我哋暫時唔係即係public 講唔出到啦，但係即係都有好多餐廳係登記咗嘅。So 但當然我哋都會睇翻一個即係 first come first serve 嘅 basis 啦，同埋 at the same time 我哋都會睇邊啲 areas 都係高 risk 啲嘅，因為只有好多個 variables 嘅，但當然我哋都會盡快，因為所以我哋自己嘅團隊係 base 而家係即係一日係做緊10幾個鐘7日嘅時間，都希望可以幫到個香港嘅 community 啦。Sorry， 個 reagent 咧係我哋用緊美國嗰隻嘅，即係 FDA 即係 Thermo Fisher FDA approve 嗰個。
Yeah, so asking on behalf of UTV, question for you, Danny. What other exciting new ideas are out there you've been looking into that incorporate virus testing into a more longer-term vision of what the F&B system will look in the future, given the virus is here to stay?
I think in general, right, I think from a company perspective, we're looking at different solutions that could actually enhance the speed it takes to get the results. Because certainly if that is able to, let's say, get it done in 30 minutes or 60 minutes, that's a significant game changer-wise, right? So we're looking at many different new technology solutions that can shorten the time an individual gets results.
And one question for you, Mr. Simmons. Given Hong Kong's being hit by a third wave of the virus, could you give us a snapshot of the economic outlook for bars and restaurants in the Lan Kwai Fong area? What numbers are you predicting?
Well, obviously, because of the third wave of virus here, and we only have lunch business for restaurants. Bars have to be closed, gyms need to be closed, everything. So it depends how long this third wave goes. But at the moment, we're predicting maybe a month and a half at most, and it'll probably affect business by about 65-70% for restaurants, and for the closure of the bars and clubs 100% because they can't open. And so it's a very serious time at the moment, and hopefully the government will maybe be able to help the restaurants and bars throughout Hong Kong, because there might be many bankruptcies if this continues. And I'm hoping that UTV is wrong, that it won't be here forever. And I'm hoping that it's something that we will have a vaccine for sooner rather than later, and hopefully we can get back to a new normal.
And also one more question. Wondering how many test kits have been given out today in Lan Kwai Fong area, and how many businesses are the recipients of them?
Test kits given out will be, we're not finished yet, but approximately about a little over 120 test kits, and I think that, what was the second question?
How many businesses are recipients of them?
Oh, I think every business that we've approached is very receptive to it, because everybody wants to protect their staff, because you protect your staff, you protect the customer, and they go hand in hand. And so, especially for restaurants, it's very, very important. Every restaurant in Hong Kong should protect their staff, and then they will protect the customer. It's something that's very, very, very important. So make sure all of your staff do it, and let's help Hong Kong to get the numbers down.
And one thing I want to add on that too is that we actually, for Prenetics wise, we actually have about 12 vans going out all of Hong Kong, basically to distributing the kits. So it's not just us three distributing the kits, right? So for example, today wise, we'll most likely deliver over 4,000 kits to probably almost 200 restaurants just today. Right. From because it's a team effort, and so that's why when we had to ramp up our team wise, we have roughly about 50 people just on this project for basically by the government and FEHD. So everyone's been working around the clock to basically make this happen, right? For the safety of Hong Kong.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Steven, and I would like to ask that how many, like the income was, how do you have the figures that dropped it, or like how many bars are closed down in the third wave, and also do you think that the government should start the third round of anti-epidemic fund and to subsidies for the bars and restaurants?
I'll take the third one. Third question first. Yes, I think the government should start a fund to help all the restaurants, bars, all the F&B establishments in Hong Kong, as well as many, many other industries, like they did in the first and second wave. That was very, very helpful. It keeps people working. It keeps people who own their business. It keeps them in business, and it'll keep the unemployment numbers low. So I think that's very, very important. And the second question is, in the first and second wave, the numbers mostly were down about, depending on the restaurant or bar, but anywhere from 40% to 60, and some even 70% were down, and many restaurants closed up. Many restaurants went bankrupt because they could not afford to stay open. As a landlord, I had a number of establishments that could not continue in business after many, many years. We had one restaurant was in business for 20 years, and they could not continue, so they had to close down. And it breaks my heart to see it, because it's very sad. People's dreams, after so many years, it's finished. And that's why it's important that everybody works together. This COVID-19, this coronavirus is very, very dangerous for for the world actually. It's not just Hong Kong. And we have to work together. We did so well the first and second quarter. In general, the numbers were very low. Now it's really gone up, and so we have to get the numbers back down again. We know what to do. Everybody wears a mask. Very important. Everybody gets tested. We now have our own testing people here, and these are things that we have to keep in mind. Social distancing. Stay at home if you have to. You can order from restaurants by delivery service if you have to, and protect the older people as well. Your family, your parents, grandparents. It's very, very important, because we can see the death rate is slowly climbing up, and mostly it's the elder people who have chronic conditions, and so it's important.
Cut rent.
Cut rent. We did before in the first and second phase. I imagine, depending on how long this goes, we will have to help our tenants as well. We are, what we say, a very caring landlord, and it's important that we work together. Your tenant is your partner, and it's important that we work. So depending, I'm hoping, because as a landlord, we also have expenses, and it's not just everybody's rich, and so we have to work together. For us, it's no good to close up a restaurant or a bar, because then we need to find a new tenant, and it's not so easy to find new tenants today. So I'm sure there will be cuts.
So Mr. Yeo, could you elaborate have mentioned in Chinese, can you also say it in English again? How many restaurants or staff members have been tested in the past week, and what are the results? And what are the areas that you've done testing? Thank you.
Yeah, so the whole process is actually very simple from a testing perspective. Just like earlier today was, for example, today we'll pass out these kits, and then these kits for depending on the restaurant, full-time and part-time staff are eligible. And then so certainly today we'll pass out the kits. So for example, this restaurant may have 20 people, employees. We'll distribute the kits. Tomorrow, our team will also come back and collect the kits. To make it even easier, next week we are also going to be setting up collection points by districts, and certainly we'll have a risk-based assessment based upon areas which may have higher risk clusters wise, right? So till date, we started this program last Saturday and Sunday, and then again we had a few days of ramping up period, but thus far we have already passed out approximately 20,000 test kits. We have already tested approximately 8,000 people have gotten results thus far. So happy to report that we haven't received a positive from a restaurant staff member. And certainly, as I mentioned, a big part of that is we're testing asymptomatic patients. So of course that population will be much lower than basically riskier patients, right? So certainly I think, so I think that pretty much, I think overall wise, it's been growing really well, and great receptiveness and feedback from restaurant, the staff, and also from customers. And then from the sticker wise, once we complete it, we'll actually then have the date of when they complete it, and at the same time list out how many employees got tested. And so certainly, of course, if anyone was positive, we would not distribute that sticker. Right?
So like in 1 to 2 days, they will get the results. They will get informed of the results, and also if they all tested negative, they will get the text.
Correct. Yes.
And then what are the districts that have been tested?
So the
Could you speak to what's the mic?
sorry. So the districts that we focused on last week was really basically more of the high-risk areas, which a lot of people already know: Wangdai Xin, Chiwan Kowloon East, etc. Wise, right? 沙田油尖各方面嘅 wise, right? So that was our first focus area for last week. And then, so every week we'll be going to different districts. Hong Kong-wise, there's 18 districts. So ask restaurant staff to be patient as well, because there's a lot of people that need to get tested, and also be safe. And so I really appreciate everyone's patience there, wise, right?
Yeah, and can I ask about a sticker? So like in case like if a staff in the restaurant got like tested positive, and what would you do? You just put a tick there, and then what if they don't follow the guidelines of closing the restaurants?
So certainly, of course, that would be a government issue, right? But certainly, of course, our role is for the testing piece, correct? And then so certainly, if an individual does test positive, we'll follow the standard operating procedures of contacting CHP, and then CHP will have to contact that restaurant and that individual as well for the next process.
And I think, as has happened in the past, the first and second phase, if somebody tests positive, CHP will inform the restaurant owner, and then the restaurant will be closed for 2 or 3 days in order to be sanitized and cleansed, and to make sure that when they reopen, that the safety, hopefully the virus is gone. So that is very, very important. But that's been done before, and I think everybody knows what to do.
我想問下，啱啱係講依家係派咗2萬個樽，就係 test 咗8,000個。但係你哋如果係話之前一日可以 test 5,000個話，一個禮拜係咪應該超過8,000？
因為我哋仲有啲時間係收樽啊嘛，咁有時或者佢哋唔得閒派翻個樽啊各方面啲嘢嘅，所以我一路 collect 翻嘅。
因為即係其實即係測試佢可能即係要持續做先至會知，即係身體係咪繼續即係都冇受感染㗎嘛。其實係咪即係食肆都可以繼續揾你哋去做咧？定係而家其實你哋做呢一個即係政府底下嘅已經即係未夠足以應付咧？如果揾你哋做嘅話，咁大概個收費係幾多啊？或者個程序？
所暫時嚟講咧，我哋都係 place 一個好高嘅 priority with 呢個 project 嘅，即係同政府同食環嘅。所以而家暫時講之後，我哋公司嚟講第一個 priority 嘅。所以當然如果之後有啲食肆啊想揾我哋會傾嘅。當然我哋都係希望即係我哋俾到一個好 competitive 嘅價錢俾到大家嘅。因為始終我哋都睇呢樣嘢唔係話為咗賺錢嘅，因為我哋覺得因為始終好似 Alan 話，我哋一間香港公司嚟嘅。 We're the only local Hong Kong company that has been selected by the government。即係我同我哋 team 啊，即係 very proud of 呢個 fact 嘅。That's why 我哋即係大部分我哋啲 management 咧冇瞓覺嘅，呢幾個禮拜嘅為咗，之後始終我哋覺得呢樣嘢係一個好事嘅。所以當然價錢嗰方面我哋會絕對一個好吸引嘅價錢咯。
So after restaurants register on the Food and Department website, so how long would they receive the bottles?
So it would be a risk-based aspect. So we'll also identify in terms of what district they are and etc. wise, right? So there's different variables that we're looking into. But again, because there is so many different districts and so many people wise, we expect to be able to finish the whole completion of this program in weeks times, right? But, 暫時我哋未 pass out 嘅，所以我哋啱啱先開始嘅，所以我哋下個禮拜會正式開始嘅pass out 啲驗證。So Diane, you probably
One more. Can I follow up on the privacy issue? Because you said on the test kit, you will have their names on it. So there's still possibilities that people who tested negative, their names might be disclosed. So how would you prevent that happening?
If test negative, their names will be
tested positive. They have their names on the test kits, right?
Yeah, so it's actually just a form. Right? So actually on the digital barcode aspect, we don't know what name it is, except the form. So when we is positive, then we actually have the form, of course. The reason we must have this, right? Because otherwise if we don't know who it is, there's no way for us to contact CHP. Correct?
So actually when the lab's processing the samples, they can only see the barcode, they cannot
Yes,
see their
correct.
name and
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. Only when it's positive, then we have to look back at the form to identify that individual, right? So privacy and security definitely number one priority, and so that's why when we test, there's no name or form, and that's why we only ask for limited information, right? So if you even look at our form-wise, we're only asking. I'll share with you. Chinese name, mobile number, and basically the first 5 alphanumeric characters. No birth date, no gender, none of that stuff, because we just, the only reason we ask this is just so that we can contact. And certainly I think for the individual tested, they also want to be contacted because they need to get the best care, right? So I think this is something that we've thought about extensively, and certainly that's why at the same time for samples we dispose of them in 7 days based upon, and this is the same procedures as in CHP. Right? So 呢個都唔係咁方便，因為始終呢個我哋今日最緊要都係講緊呢件事嘅，所以所以呢方面呢個係 private 一個社會政府嗰方面嘅話，所以
即係我哋要問翻政府。
唔係因為始終呢個 private anti-epidemic fund 呢個方面嘅，所以啱啊。
Okay.
Yeah.
Finish 啦，我哋今日。
好 ，OK，多謝晒 ，thank you，多謝 ，thank you。
Thank you.
好，我哋。
This way, thank you.
This way, please. Thank you.
Okay, this way. Okay. One more this way. Thank you. One more here. Thank you. Okay, one more here. Thank you.
OK，thank you guys，多謝晒大家。
Okay.